A human being is a fragile creature. All it takes is a nasty bump or a wrong meal to finish us off. Still, under the right circumstances, people can be borderline invincible. There are few men and women who have been able to survive things that could, and by all rights should, kill a horde of elephants. That said, in this video, we would like to talk about the man who was trapped underwater for 3 days.
With hindsight, Harrison O'Keefe probably should have seen the signs. All of the ingredients were in place. He was young, happy, and gainful employed as a cook on a shipbuilding service tugboat. Also, he was about to get married in a few days. All he had to do before his wedding was finish this one last mission.
Of course, that mission turned into the most terrifying disaster movie this side of the SS Poseidon. In the early morning of May 26th of the year 2013, O'Keefe had just gotten up and was in the bathroom. Suddenly, his ship was hit by what a spokesman later called a sudden ocean swell.
O'Keefe could only watch helplessly as his daily life turned into a trip to rapture. The tugboat capsized and sank 100 feet below the surface, with him still inside.
Trapped in the dark abyss with no one else in sight and wearing nothing but his boxers, O'Keefe waded through the ship corridors, which were slowly filling with icy water. He managed to locate a source of light, some Coca-Cola, and a few tools, and he made it to a relatively safe corner of the ship.
O'Keefe ended up bunking in a 4-foot air pocket under the surface, holding back the water as best he could and stacking mattresses as the cold water rose to keep dry. To make things worse, sharks and barracudas soon started roaming the ship interiors in search of a meal. He could hear them fighting for the remains of his shipmates in other rooms and swimming in the water just below him. He had no food. The salt water and the bumps from the accident were wearing his skin raw. There was far too little air for him to breathe, and he was running it with every breath by puffing out carbon dioxide. He would not last beyond a couple of hours.
Except that he totally did. In fact, he managed to stay alive for 62 hours. Here's how.
That little beauty is called Boyle's law. It states that when you increase atmospheric pressure, say by sinking 100 feet underwater, gases become denser. That means that tiny air pocket actually contains a lot more oxygen than it will on land.
Meanwhile, that lethally cold water aided O'Keefe by absorbing the murderous carbon dioxide he was breathing out, so the CO2 levels never actually built up to toxic levels either.
When the company finally got around to sending a recovery team, they had understandably been assuming everyone was dead. O'Keefe gave a diver the shock of his life. The second he heard human sounds, he announced his presence by pounding the crap out of the wall with a hammer.
After a quick rescue operation and a stint in a decompression chamber, O'Keefe emerged back in the land of the living as good as new. Divers all over the world marvel at his tenacity, as those depths can only safely be dived for about 20 minutes at a time. Meanwhile, Hollywood screenwriters are still trying to grab their heads around the fact that a dude who was just about to get married actually survived a disaster.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And yeah, say, hold that light. Come on now, hold out. Smoke that. Come on, don't stop till you feel it. Baby, you got to hold on. Yeah.